All right, today on The Edge, Facebook announced beta launch of the Horizon VR social experience. Apple's showing signs that may actually launch a search engine to compete with Google Search. Walmart teams up with Microsoft on the TikTok bid, eyeing e-commerce advertising opportunities. All this today on the Digital News Roundup on Edge of the Web.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
So trying something new. They want to make sure you know what we're going to be talking about here in this podcast. Welcome to the Site Strategics Marketing News Desk. This is the bonus news podcast and video for Edge of the Web Radio, episode 367. I'm your host, Aaron Sparks. Joining me this week to get his take on the digital marketing news is Tim Schmoyer. How you doing, sir?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
More than welcome, and I'm thankful that we finally able to get you on board here. I'm so sorry that I had to kick the introduction a couple of times here, or the interview a couple of times. I do apologize.
No, life happens. Yeah, no, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we were teasing the audience for a while that you were going to be on, and a couple of people were going, "Okay, where's Schmoyer?"
It's the way the digital marketers just stretch out their launch campaigns, like, everyone emailed me telling me to keep the cart open. So, all right, I'll do it.
That's what we're doing every week. We said, Tim Schmoyer next week. We promise. Just listen.
We kept on adding to cart.
Keep coming back next week.
There you see. That's a great advertising gimmick there. We have to tease people out more often. All right. So, Tim, thanks for joining us, and we certainly implore our audience to go check out the full interview with Tim. But this is the news podcast roundup here, and we want to make sure that we nail some of the things that are moving right now. First and foremost, on the news from social media today, Facebook announces the beta launch of the Horizon VR social experience. Facebook is advancing its new Horizon social VR platform to the next stage of development. So what this is, it literally is, if you're new to the VR side of things, Facebook rolled out Oculus here about a year and some change ago with the Oculus Rift. Now they got the Oculus Quest out there. So basically, it's an entire virtual reality environment. It's becoming mainstream. It certainly is accelerated amid the COVID-19 lockdown. So they actually have announced a new experience platform called Horizon. And it's actually it's moving into the closed beta of this. So they got a couple of videos, and we're going to have a link on our show notes here. But basically, explained by Facebook, Horizon invites you to explore an ever-expanding universe of virtual experiences designed and built by the entire community. Everything that you see in Horizon, including the plaza and worlds created by our teams at Facebook, has been built with the Horizon creation tools. In Horizon, you can build things you want to see and places you want to visit. So here's the deal. It's like a giant sandbox for users, and Facebook's building this entire city and different elements and different areas. And if you watch the video, it literally is adults playing in a sandbox, so to speak. And you can change your avatar. You can dress like a monkey. It doesn't really matter. I mean, the building blocks. It looks like it's Minecraft for adults. That's what it looks like. And not that that's a bad thing. However, if you've seen my kids on Minecraft, watching kids watch kids on Minecraft, and there's a whole level of inception in there. That's another conversation in its own right. But Tim, have you gone the VR route? Have you seen what's out there on Oculus yet?
No, I don't have Oculus myself. I've seen other people play with it. I'm familiar with it, but I haven't actually used it myself. So in that terms, no, I haven't. But I think the VR thing in general is something that so far has been pretty niche. I know Xbox tried it with their Kinect a couple of years ago. Didn't really get a whole lot of traction. Some people loved it. Most people are like kind of creeped out by it. But I remember way back, and I can't remember the game, but it was back in like 2005 or 6 or maybe 7. People were exchanging like real life dollars and currency for in this virtual environment. Where you create an avatar, you fly around, you end up buying your own building or island, and
sounds
it
like
was
Second
like,
Life.
Second Life.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Jacob with a win.
Yeah. And so I remember even there, it was like the same thing. There's like a really hardcore people who like love it.
Right.
And this is like, it meets some sort of really deep need in them. And then there's other people who are just kind of like, eh. So I don't know what the percentage breakdown is. I think VR is becoming more and more mainstream, but I don't know that it's reached the point where it's going to start substituting for in-person meetings and things like that.
However, they are actually kind of pointing towards that they can create virtual offices. And I saw a couple screenshots of somebody's avatar next to them in a meeting, and that's kind of creepy.
I was at YouTube Space last year, and they have those robots with like the iPad on them walking around. Like someone's virtually is in a different office or building, but they're rolling around the YouTube Space.
Right.
Through the lens, and I was like, and then it would like roll up to someone, and like someone would stop and start talking to the iPad face, and then the conversation would be over. And I was like, that's weird. I've seen videos about that, but to witness it in person was a little trippy.
Too weird. And that was, I mean, that's right from the Big Bang. That was Flat Sheldon. If you remember those episodes where he was sick or something. Oh, no, he was just germaphobe and he was avoiding people. And he literally had a screen and a robot walking around. So came from a sitcom. Now we're all using it.
Well, but the VR makes sense because that's what we'll go to when it's just robots walking around. Instead of having two iPads talking to each other, it'll just automatically switch over to the VR mode.
But there's something that the pandemic has taught us, though, I think, is that people actually do want face-to-face connection.
Yeah.
Because when it's taken away from you, a lot of people freak out a little bit. And I don't think that VR and a lot of the stuff is going to substitute that completely. I think it's certainly going to be a powerful tool for accomplishing certain things, but I think we're seeing that people like their face-to-face connection, even if it means they might die.
They'll actually risk it. We are seeing that regularly. What's happening right now.
Exactly.
But I don't think we're anywhere near Ready Player One, especially from the ad space of. I mean, remember that scene, all the different ads inside of Ready Player One. But it's going to be monetized. It's going to be monetized, and it's going to be another scorched earth realm that nobody wants to even participate. But I mean, we are in a weird scenario here where the opportunity for this is much greater than any time before.
I think it's kind of in like 360 video category where it's like we just got to keep experimenting, keep testing, see what happens. And it might be eventually like Microsoft's what was their HDR 4K, the thing that's competing with Blu-ray. Like it might go somewhere, but it might not, and not every technology ends up making it to the shelf.
Got it. Yeah. So this is just Betamax. This is what this is.
I'm going to go the deep reference here and say, watch out and read the book Snow Crash.
Ooh.
I don't know if anyone else knows that, but
no, I don't know that one.
It's an older book, but it sounds a lot like what this might turn into.
Wow, there's a deep cut from Jacob.
There's your homework.
All right. So changing the channel, so to speak, and jumping over to another news story that we caught from Coywolf, John Henshaw's Coywolf news. That's Coywolf.news. Here's the killer. Apple is showing signs that it may actually launch a search engine to compete with Google search. There's changes in the Spotlight search on iOS and iPad OS 14 beta. It's a significant update with its Applebot support, and an increase in crawling from Applebots may actually signify that Apple may be launching a search engine soon. So they pay billions of dollars to Google. And there's certainly a timeline where they were using Bing as Siri's search. I'm sorry. Yeah, they get paid by Google to be able to use Google's API or search tool. They were using Bing for a while, so they've been back and forth. And I mean, there's a lot of money coming in from Google, billions, into Apple to be able to be the search the search tool here. But there's other news as well, other signifiers here. There's a major push in Silicon Valley for search engineers. So there's a number of interesting efforts that are happening right now in the space. So keep your ear out. There may very well be the creation of an Apple search engine to rival. I mean, between Amazon and Apple, I mean, those are the two largest organizations to be able to take a major cut into the marketplace for Google. So, Tim, what do you think about that? Would you go to Apple Search as opposed to Google?
Not if Siri's running it. I mean, man, Google Assistant is so far ahead of Siri, and they've been competing on that technology for a long time. But I'm wondering if it's like actually like, hey, we really need to own search, or if it's like we, just like Apple does with their other things, we need to own the entire ecosystem from beginning to end, the hardware, the experience, the software, the integration, because Apple can only integrate and have the experience they create for the end user with someone else's product can only go so far. And it sounds like, knowing Apple, they just want that experience to be completely seamless, no matter what you're doing, even if you're search.
Yeah.
So I'm skeptical that it will be good. I think that Facebook does social really well, but has never been able to do search. Google's tried social and failed miserably. And, so I think these companies have like something like, this is our bread and butter. This is what we dominate at. And it's kind of like, guys, stay in your lane, So,
yeah. But there's always that discussion of who's going to take on Google, right? And it's obviously not going to be a bootstrap type of scenario with what they're up against. So
it has to be an Apple or Amazon.
Yeah, it's going to have to come down from on high, so to speak, right? But I think you're right, especially when Apple tried to move from the product side, their Apple speaker, right? The Apple Home device that failed to launch. That's like the biggest fail to launch that we've seen in a heck of a long time. Not that that's a correlative to actual SaaS and web properties, but yeah, I think you're right. Stay in your lane and stop experimenting into other areas. But my gosh, there is such a strong, I don't want to call it monopoly, but such a strong presence in Google, and DuckDuckGo's trying to fight, but if anything is going to break that up, is going to be another corporation like that. Anyway, we do want to make sure that you reach out to Ahrefs, our show sponsor. It's a fantastic tool to be able to understand your SEO and, more importantly, your competitors and how they're getting the traffic from Google. So you can see the pages and content that send them the most search traffic and find out exact keywords they're ranking on and which backlinks are actually helping them rank. From there, you can replicate or more importantly, improve on their strategies. So go check out ahrefs.com. That's it's a silent A for the brand, ahrefs.com. And you can actually subscribe to the 7 days for $7 program, where you can see the entire tool, all the aspects of the tool, including the SEO audit and linking inspector factors. Those are really cool. We highly recommend you check those out. But we certainly appreciate the continued sponsorship of Ahrefs. All right, so jumping back into our last article. And I want to tee this up to Tim as well from Marketing Dive. Walmart teams up with Microsoft on the TikTok bid, eyeing e-commerce as an advertising opportunity. So Walmart has actually partnered up with Microsoft on the technology giant's bid to acquire the social video sharing app TikTok. The retailer stated that the platform could provide an important way for us to reach and serve the omnichannel customers, as well as grow our third-party marketplace and advertising businesses. So this is not the purchase of the app in its entirety. It's the consumer data in the U.S., and that's strictly due to what the U.S. government is doing, challenging China and imposing parameters where they won't be able to conduct business in the U.S. for security concerns. So, Tim, what's your thought about these two big players coming into space and looking at this as a commerce opportunity?
Yeah, I think it makes sense for them. I don't know what the conversion rates are like and what the audience the ROI is on there on TikTok. I know that there's a lot of money going into it, and I think you normally just see that whenever there's a very significant large user base and it has a lot of traction in terms of people are using it. But it took YouTube a while to figure out how to actually monetize that audience. You know, when they first bought YouTube, it was costing them a ton of money, hand over fist, for a long time before they started figuring out how do we do ads here in a way that actually engage these people and don't interrupt from the experience. And so I don't know those numbers, but these brands I'm expecting are banking on a future payoff where this is
absolutely
maybe right now, like we're buying a stake now, but it's going to take us a while to figure out how this thing actually works. And that always is risky because it might not work. It might not be that. I mean, I see an ad whenever I get in TikTok now, and it's just so easy to skip. And so far I haven't seen any that have actually engaged me, but maybe that's part of what they're doing to just grow the audience pretty quickly here at the beginning.
Do you know the numbers on the audience, how big the TikTok audience is?
No, I saw stats recently on how much time people spend on different video apps like YouTube versus Netflix versus TikTok and things. And YouTube won hands down over TikTok. But I think that makes sense because it was like YouTube's a lot more longer form content. You can get in there and watch a 10-minute video, but there's not, the longest there on TikTok is 60 seconds. So you'd have to watch 10 of those in a row to get the same watch time as you would on YouTube.
Well, it's amazing the valuation of this. This is the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand customer base, right? And the valuation of this is $20 billion to $30 billion buyout. It's just astronomical sums of money. But there's got to, I should have actually had those stats up, but it's certainly an incredible user base right there. And
absolutely.
The remarketing opportunities, and especially Walmart, as they are challenging Amazon in that space, right? There's certainly some fantastic scenarios, and Microsoft being right there to be able to tie in the LinkedIn remarketing opportunity as well. These are giants, obviously, and what an interesting time this is going to be for this particular app.
But to throw a little bit of a wrench in that, did you know that the CEO of TikTok resigned yesterday?
He did.
Just yesterday. So he was the CEO of TikTok and the COO of ByteDance. However that works out. And he resigned. He's done.
He is gone.
Why?
I know. I've looked, and he hasn't really said much yet.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I did hear on a radio program this morning that he was not a part of a lot of these negotiations and felt like he was sidelined, maybe.
Got it.
Or at least that was their speculation. So we'll see.
Why would you walk away at that point in time?
Well, hashtag reach quit.
Because if you were supposed to be the CEO of a big tech company, and that tech company is going to get taken over by Microsoft and Walmart, maybe you're not really sure where are you going to be going? Now I'm just going to be middle management again. Can't do that. Let's pull this golden parachute.
They'll throw him in the basement with a red stapler. All right, so that's the news for the show here. Appreciate it. We want to make sure we always touch on Google updates as much as possible, but this week we're pretty calm. There's a little bit of noise in Twitter regarding trepidations of possible core updates, but we don't have any stats that we want to show you or talk about this week. All right, so for all of us, we want to make sure that you check all the entire interview over at edgeofthewebradio.com with Tim. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to YouTube. And from all of us over at Edge, do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.